So I want to focus on this one very specific idea about the gesture drawing, and that is focus on the whole. Focus on the whole thing. Gesture drawing teaches you a lot of different things. It teaches you how to keep the pose alive, teaches you form, teaches you proportion, teaches you movement and flow, which is really, really important. These are all big things to learn about. But I think that something that I notice in a lot of beginner artists that I've come across is that they're not taking away one of the biggest things of gesture drawing, which is focusing on drawing the whole thing, zooming out, seeing the full thing. Because I think a lot of times when you're drawing, when you're learning, you're like focusing in on like, oh, like this is how the line is like this, and then it goes like this, and then it goes. You're just focusing on the individual parts in gesture drawing. You want to focus on the whole. So what does that kind of look like? You would probably start off with something simple, using really easy shapes and lines to try to capture the general poses of everything. And always just double checking, does this look big enough? Does this look long enough? And then you just want to continue to move throughout the body, right? While keeping track of proportions and the like this. You can see that the way that I'm drawing it is very, very simple, but very, very quickly, and also very, very smoothly. I'm kind of putting down different anchor points that I see on the body immediately on the page so that I can quickly compare it with each other like this. So I have everything sort of mapped out, and then what you're supposed to do is go through for a second pass. So in here, I want to start to design the drawing more, design the gesture. And this is where learning how to do gesture drawing is important, because then you'll know where to put the curves and where to emphasize the motion. So in this pose, she is leaning a little bit over here, and then she has cocked her hip out like this. So her body has a little bit of a slant like that. And I'm going to slowly bring out the different curves and emphasize what needs to be emphasized. For the leg, it's an easy template. I already have the proportion mapped out. Now I just need to put in the gesture curves, which is, from a front view leg, is most likely going to be an outside, inside, outside. Outside of the thigh, inside of the knee, outside of the calf, down to the heel of the foot. Boom. All the other sides get hit with the straight, and that's your gesture for the foot. And then for this side, this is also looking like an outside, inside, outside, because we're going to go like this, like this, like this. I don't really like this paper because this paper is really, really rough and coarse, so it's not smooth. I personally like smoother paper. And then you can start to add in the different sections. So here we can start to bring in more detail by putting in the bend of the deltoid down. Now I'm seeing that these breasts are a little bit too high, so I'm going to actually go over here, and I'm always checking, right? So I have this size for the legs. Now I want to make sure that I'm keeping everything proportional and moving things so that they flow. So immediately I noticed these breasts are way too high and they're way too small in comparison to the body. So now I want to bring them down and go from and focus on how they fit in to the whole. You want to see things as a whole, like this. Boom. This is the torso, and then they're going down like this. This arm is still looking fine after checking with everything. This arm is also looking fine, checking with everything. This is still a little bit small, but that's just something to keep in mind, because here I kind of went way too big for the legs. But that's totally fine. At least I caught that, which means in the next drawing, I'll be able to piece it together. And then here's the head, like that. So right now I noticed this is getting too big, and then here is too small. This torso is too small. So let's focus on another drawing, and we can fix it in the next drawing. So for this one, and this is where gesture drawing is important, right? You're training your mind to develop habits. You're training your hand for muscle memory and trying to find everything. So I'm going to start off with the head first, even though I don't normally start off with the head. Boom. Trying to find the main gesture, the main curve, and being loose and fluid and going fast. Fast not exactly as in speed, but more fast as in going through the body and trying to map out the full body quickly without lingering on a specific section. And it's also hard to draw while talking and trying to explain what I'm thinking. But I will do my best. Hand goes here, trying to look for proportion. If the hand is here by the face, and the arms are here, and then you can have this. Boom. Does this look fine proportionally? It looks okay. This looks a little bit big, but that's fine. And then I can bring out the big thing here, like this. Okay. So we have something like this. I feel like I have the legs long again, so I want to double check and bring things back and fix. Okay. Now let's go through for a second pass. Now for the second pass, like before, we're cleaning up and we're trying to find where the main curves are. There's a big gesture over here. There's a big gesture here. It curves around. We have a front of thigh gesture going down to the knee, which is right here. And then we have back of thigh because it goes into, because we want to balance the shapes with straights matches with curves. Then this side will be the straight, this side will be the curve. Going down to the heel, out for the foot, like that. The other leg is a little bit back, so I'm going to go like this. And then for here, go curve, curve, right? We're creating these kinds of shapes, So we have a curve here, and then it goes up like this. These are contour lines to try to capture. But the whole idea is that you want to map out the body really, really quickly, and then go through for a second pass and try to lock in where you want to design your flow and your shapes, rather than drawing things in specific parts.